Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Behind the Lens. And yes, Daniel is not here with me today. Daniel's been feeling kind of under the weather. And so today he's not joining me. You could be praying for him that he gets healthy here before we have camp coming up. But yeah, so it's just going to be me today, and it's not a big deal. It's kind of like this episode and next episode are going to be kind of two more chill episodes. And what I mean by that is that I'm going to be talking about accessories, what's in my bag, audio accessories, lighting accessories, basically things that make your job easier as a videographer or a photographer. And so, so there's going to be these next two episodes won't have Daniel because I'll be recording them actually pretty much back to back. So for this week and the next week, Daniel won't be in them, but that's okay. You know, he needs to get healthy, but then also it's something different. You know, I'm in my room that I normally record in. So you might hear a slight echo. Don't mind that. It's easier this way. And I have all my technology stuff here. So once again, if you are new, consider, man, if I can talk today, Daniel's not here, so I can't make fun of myself. I guess I can. But anyways, if you're new, consider subscribing, so that way you can stay in touch with what we do here on Behind the Lens, this show. It's one of many things that I do on the Bound Experience, but I really do enjoy it, which is one reason why I do it. So once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you get a little insight on accessories and the importance of them, but most importantly, maybe be able to choose for yourself and to be able to choose something that works for you. And so I want to start out with what is the importance of accessories, and I think a lot of times people, especially. I think I've learned that, when I'm walking around in Budapest, or if I'm just walking around in the States, I have my bag full of things, and I get the question sometimes like, why do you need all these different things? And I always like to use the example, and Daniel would probably concur with this. I like to use the example of a car. There are many things that you put in a car that you don't necessarily need to have in order to perform well, or the car to perform well. You don't need those shiny tires. You don't need, I guess that doesn't really help with my explanation, but I guess you don't need certain tires. You just need your basic tires. You don't need certain things inside of your car. But the reason you get those things is to improve either the performance of the car, or to even improve parts of what you're doing. So like in a car, the way you drive, the feel of the steering wheel, certain things that help you get to that point, and that can help you make better decisions on the road, or even help your car last a little bit longer. That might have been a terrible explanation, but that's the best I can come up with. So today is specifically going to be accessories that are in my bag. So what do I, as a videographer, as a photographer, what do I carry in my bag? The benefits of each. And so originally, if you listen to last week's episode, obviously the last 2 weeks we talked about settings. And so it's completely different than what we were talking about, but in the sense it still kind of goes together, as it all does. Like we talked last week, today was going to be accessories, but I decided to split the accessories into two different episodes because I think there's big differences, and there's more explanation I want to do than just, 20 to 25 minutes. I want to be able to explain some things in multiple episodes. So today is just going to be in what's in my bag. What do I use? Why do I use it? I wish Daniel was here because he uses a couple different things than I use, but it's still pretty similar between us both. So that's what today is going to be. And then on next week, we will be looking at different accessories that I might use in a studio, considering like audio and lighting, even though that there could be times where I might mention two things because I use it in my bag as well as what I would be using maybe as a studio, or just things like lighting and audio is what we're going to focus on next week. So once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and let's get started. Why don't we? So what's the importance of what's the importance of having a bag and having accessories? And I gave you just the analogy of a car, but I believe the importance of having accessories is to make your job either easier or to make your job more efficient. And for me, I go more on kind of in the middle. I make my job a little more efficient with what I carry, but also it's more or less, it helps me, and it helps me become a better videographer. And so I have a few things I'm going to show you that I will also have video going on, so you'll be able to see that. I'll also have most likely everything as much as I can listed below, so you can kind of understand, what I use and everything like that. So we are first going to talk about my bag, because I think having a bag is something that's very key for any videographer or photographer. It helps you keep everything in one space. I use a book bag. I mean, you don't have to. It's kind of like a book bag style or backpack style. So I'm going to bring it up here. I'm going to do my best to show it on the camera. Oh, it's really loud. I'm so sorry. But this is my bag. It's called I believe it's called a Mosio. It's whatever's in the description. But anyways, it's a great bag. Obviously, I'll show you in the slide. You're seeing it right now. But basically, it's great because it has room. So like, I won't be talking about this too much today, but it has room for my GoPro. It has room for my camera itself, for my microphone. It has room for my lenses. And then I also have some pockets up here. So there's a pocket back there, and then there's a pocket on this side, if I can raise it up. So there's pockets here, as you can see with the orange, and then there's all that space down there. So what I love about this book bag, and that is so loud. What I love about this book bag or this camera bag, I should say, is that it's compact. It's very small. It's tight, so I can keep it, especially when I'm walking around cities. It's not as heavy, and so it's easier on my shoulders. It's easier to carry. And another reason I really do like it is it's waterproof. I don't know how many times you've been either filming or maybe you've just been hanging out with friends and it starts raining and you get so worried about your equipment. To have like a waterproof bag to where water just kind of drips off of it is really good. And I got this bag about a year ago for maybe like $70 or so. So in the US. So I think it's a very good bag for just hauling everything and keeping everything kind of tight. And I think that's a big key as a photographer, as a videographer, it's having something to kind of keep everything in. And then, so we're going to move on to probably some of the more essential things that I carry with me. I guess that's kind of where I'm going next. There's no real actual direct pattern of what I'm doing. But I would say we're going to start with lenses. So if you remember a couple weeks ago when we talked about lenses, I have a few. Right now I'm shooting on my 16 millimeter, which basically stays on my camera pretty much the whole time. I also do carry my 50 millimeter. And I also carry this accessory, which is a lens adapter. It's a mount adapter. So that's kind of an accessory as well. And then I carry this 15x45. So the reason I say that is because, yes, they might not be technically accessories, but they sort of are, because they're extra lenses that I throw in my bag because you never know what you're going to need at that certain time. So those are kind of the lenses that I use. It depends on the situation. For the most part, like I said, you'll see later, I don't know if I'll talk about this week, but I have a gimbal, which I use a specific lens for that specifically. So that is what I use lens-wise. But going along with lenses, and something that is so key, if you are doing this for a job or even if you're just doing this for a hobby, very important. I like to call this the puffer. I actually don't know what this is called. And you might be like, Ben, that looks so weird. But if you listen, so you have that little squeaky sound. It's basically puffs air out. And so if you get like your lens, and so like you can take your lens off, you can take the back off, and you basically are just blowing off the dirt, the dust that gets on your lenses. It's also good for your sensor. Obviously I can't show you because I'm shooting on my camera, but on the camera itself, the sensor we talked about, getting some dust off of that, basically making it a little easier for you to take care of your camera, that make sure it lasts. I always bring this everywhere I go. not knowing what is going to happen, not knowing where I'll be. And it's important to have that. And I also, on top of that, bring a cloth. So this came in a kit that I bought on Amazon, I believe. I don't actually know what they call these either. I mean, it's just a cloth. Like, imagine a cloth that you use for your glasses. So like when you're wearing glasses, it's kind of like that. It's that material. And in this kit, it comes with this solution. This is called Commander, but it's a solution that you can put onto your lens that kind of cleans it. And you can use this as well. But I also love this. It comes with little Q-tips, so you can, more precisely figure out where your spots are on your lens, and stuff like that. So I always try to clean my lenses, depends on how often I use them, but I try to clean them, especially the 16 millimeter, pretty often. It just, again, depends on what I need and whatever. But this is a very essential accessory that I think all three of these, as well as the air pusher or whatever it's called, very essential, I think, when it comes to shooting outside, especially. Inside, maybe not as much, but definitely outside. And then another accessory. Oh, I almost forgot this. Another accessory that is really important, and it's actually something that Donnie talked about, I think 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. He talked about the sunglasses for your lens, the lens filter, the lens filter, basically. I actually just bought this before I came to Hungary. This is by Knf Concept, which is the same as my tripod. A very good company. I recommend them. And this is, like I said, you can see that there. It is basically a ND filter. So you just kind of turn it, and as you can actually see in the camera, it kind of lightens up and it gets darker. So it's exactly like sunglasses. To be honest, if I'm honest with you all, I've only used this once, and it was to test it out. I'm going to be completely honest. I haven't used it that often, but I do bring it with me everywhere I go, because I never know, especially outside, what am I going to need on my camera? Which, speaking of that, I wish I would have used it the other day, but that's besides the point. It's a very useful thing to have, and it comes with a nice little carrying case that I can slip right in my bag. And I'm good to go. And so that's pretty much everything with lenses, surrounding lenses. Obviously, there's a little more things that are smaller that I bring personally. But there's two things that I don't have with me that I would recommend, partly because I came to Hungary and I had to leave them at home. One would be a Swiss Army knife, or like some type of multi-tool. You never know when you're going to need tools. Those are really key, I believe, when you're using cameras, and when you're trying to change things and change mounts and stuff like that. And then another one would be some type of flashlight, a little light, and I'll explain that in a second. Actually, might explain that right now, actually. Basically, a light would be perfect if you're doing like maybe a later at evening shoot or early in the morning. Just add a little bit more light to your image. I don't have one of those. I forgot mine at home, but back in the States. So I just have these big lights, which I'll talk about probably next week. But yeah, so this is basically those are like the essentials, I believe. Oh, that's not only essentials. More or less, what I love is. So I'll put it into perspective. I basically use this camera. I've used this camera for over a year now, and I only had one battery. Actually, I had only had one battery up until about 2 weeks ago. So imagine trying to, and actually that's why many times you hear me actually in a couple episodes that were here, you talk about, you hear me talk about, well, if this dies, we have to switch batteries. The issue is I always had non-brand batteries, which are not bad. If that's what you can afford, they're fine. Personally, I haven't had great experience with non-brand batteries. That's just me. So I always go for the Canon batteries. So that's Canon battery. Let's see if I can focus on that. Sort of. But anyways, I use the Canon batteries. And so I end up buying two more, and I have been carrying these the last 2 weeks everywhere I go. So I charge them up. I think I have a charger. So I don't have a fancy charger. I just have the one that came with the camera. But I charge two two extras. So that way I have 3 total batteries in case I die on a shoot or whatever. Very important to make sure you're always bringing your batteries, extra batteries to any event you're doing, any shoot, especially if you're like going into the city and you don't obviously have time to go back home. It's very important to bring extra batteries. And I guess the only other thing that's related to the camera itself is this. So this is like this came with the camera. It's basically like a strap that you just put around and you put the camera on. Personally, I don't really use one. I actually hold it more with my hand. I actually have a hand grip, but I could not find it before I started recording. That hand grip that basically goes around your hand that can keep you from dropping the camera. I recommend this. Do not do what I do or even what Donnie does and not have a strap. I just am a risk taker. I don't know, but I recommend these. You can get them pretty cheap if you don't have one with your camera, which is pretty cool. So that's everything with related to the camera itself, particularly. The only other thing that I bring that also is going to probably be talked about next episode as well is I bring 2 types of tripods. So one tripod I bring is this one right here. I don't know if you can see that. It's really big actually, but I can't fit it all in frame. So basically this is a Knf tripod. I just bought it before I came to Hungary about 4 months ago. Great durability. I love it. Use it for all my interview shoots for any time I'm doing outside. It was probably about $85 to $90. So it might seem expensive. Honestly, that's actually a really good price. And, so that's the main one I use when I'm doing, talking videos or something where I need to have a higher level. And then the second one I use, and this is what I use for a lot of my vlogging. So if you watched my 100 days in Hungary, or you watched my birthday vlogs, I use the Gorilla tripod, which obviously it's on my camera right now because I have it on my desk. So I'll probably get some video of that, but that's just basically a smaller tripod. It's a bendy tripod. And basically what that does is that allows me to, one, I don't have to carry a big tripod, but if I know I'm just walking and I don't need to bring this big one, then it makes it a lot easier for me to do that. So I recommend that for somebody that wants to do vlogs or someone that wants to do that. Maybe you have a desk or some sort that you're shooting off of, and it works really well. So I've used this tripod for this little mini tripod probably for almost over a year now. I've been using it I use it quite frequently when I'm outside. I don't really use it when I'm recording. It just so happens that it works right now to record on, but that is what I use for tripods. So those come with me. The Gorilla Pod, if I have my bag again, the Gorilla Pod that I'm shooting on right now, it fits in right here. So so this strap here, you put it down and it fits perfectly right there. The other one I actually have a carrying bag for, so it's kind of nice. I don't actually have to worry about it. And then finally, some of the other essentials that I bring. Obviously, I bring my laptop, which unfortunately I'm using right now, so I can't show you that. But I use my MacBook Pro 16 inch, yes, 15 inch, something like that. It's pretty much the highest power you can get. I use it for all my editing, everything like that, and it comes with me everywhere when I'm shooting. Primarily because a lot of times I want to download all my video and photos off of my camera, which reminds me, I don't know if I have an extra one around. Maybe I do. Anyways, I'll just say it. So I would get a second SD card because having a backup just in case yours goes bad is always important, but I digress. Basically I bring my laptop with me, and because I have a Mac, I have to have dongles, which if you don't know what a dongle is, I'll show you. So this is one type of dongle. So this is like my SD card reader. Because it's a, USB-C, I have to have a dongle in order for it to connect because I don't have USB. And with that, I'm actually using both of them right now, but I have 2 other dongles I bring with me that actually, I think I have an example of one somewhere here. Yes, right here. So in my desk, I have one. So this is like an old one that doesn't really work anymore, but this one basically is what a dongle looks like. It has multiple ports for me to basically plug in all my different things that I would need at a shoot in order to get rid of all of the different things I'm using, different photos and videos and stuff like that. Not everyone does that. I mean, primarily I will not bring my laptop with me if I'm close by. So like if I'm just doing something here on the property, I'll probably just not bring my laptop and I'll just come back up here into my home office and start working from there, which makes it a lot easier for me. And I don't have to travel with a big laptop. And honestly, even though I have a camera bag and even though this laptop can sort of fit, I usually put this laptop in my laptop bag, which then goes in my other book bag that I bring with me to shoots as well. So speaking of data transfer and all that fun stuff, I have two different types. So I normally, this is like literally, this is like a lifesaver of any videographer or photographer. If you don't know what this is an external hard drive. This one, I believe, is 2 terabytes or a terabyte. I believe it's 2 terabytes. Seagate. I love these things. It's been a lifesaver many times because I have a bigger one, which I can show you. So this one is ginormous. This is an external 4 terabyte that I bring, that I put basically everything. Once this gets full, it goes onto here. But the importance of using one of these is that I don't have to worry about my computer getting so full with stuff, and I have to keep deleting things. But it's really key to have one of these. I have one here, and then I think I have one other one that I use as like my backup. So this comes with me everywhere in my bag, just in case I do want to put stuff onto this. It's also important. And then I also recommend carrying probably 2 or 3 of these. These are just 32 gigabyte flash drives. I recommend bringing 2 or 3 of those with you. Really important when it comes to making sure you have storage and making sure you can save all the footage, because the last thing you want to do is go to a shoot and then you lose everything. It's happened to me before, and it sucks. It really does. But the last kind of, really the last thing that I'll talk about for my bag, and it's something that is, it's sort of become new in my bag, because like I said, I also have a GoPro, which I won't really talk about a lot in this episode. This will probably be something we talk about later. But a GoPro is if you don't know what a GoPro is, it's a small camera you can use for a lot of action shots. So you see like skiers wear them, stuff like that. I'll open it up. But basically, this is my GoPro that I bring with me every shoot, because you never know. I've learned that you never know what you're gonna need it for, if you will need it. And so I bring it. But because of that, and also because I have my phone and other things, I purchased a big charging block and a portable charging block. And this has been a lifesaver. Actually, this past weekend when I went to Budapest, for some reason I couldn't find my phone charger. This became a lifesaver. It's great because like here I always have extra cords running around. This is for my GoPro, and I always bring extra charging cords. But this is great. I recommend anybody that's doing photography or videography to get one of these, not even just for your equipment, but mainly because like you're going to need to charge your phone and stuff like that. So this is something I recommend. It's a great little, it was like, for me, it was like, that was $20, $25, not too expensive. If you get it to 4 charge, so there's like little things here, you can't really see them, but if you get to full charge, it lasts me for a few days. So really, really important as well. I think that is pretty much it of what I bring in my bag, what I have in my bag. The only other thing that sometimes I use, that I've actually used a lot the last couple of days for my Word of Life footage and stuff that I've been shooting here for Word of Life, is I have a gimbal here, which I use to have better steady shots to use when I'm filming sports stuff, things that where people are running or I'm running, and you don't want all that shakiness. So I won't get into too much detail with this. This will probably be next week, but this is an awesome thing to have. And it's something that if you can afford it, it's a great thing. But that's just like an extra add-on. But yeah, so that is my bag. That is what's in it. Those are the accessories that I use. Obviously I wish Daniel was here. He would have probably a couple more to add on to. But I did my best. I try my best to cover as best I can. But yeah, so I basically wanted to finish up by just saying that remember the benefits of using accessories. Do you have to have all these accessories that I have? No. Are there some that you should probably have? And I would say yes, like extra batteries. I know from a fact that you need to have extra batteries. Even if it's non-brand, get extra batteries. And I would also say, bring a portable charger and some of the basic things, but you don't need to have extra lenses. You don't need to have, the covers for your lenses. You don't need to have, I always forget these are called ND filters. There we go. ND filters. You don't need to have, you don't need to bring your laptop with you. You don't need external drives, even though these are things I recommend. And I think they're really good. Again, you don't need these things, especially if you're starting out. But this is what's in my bag. And this is what, I use on a primer basis, whatever that word is. This is what I use most often, and it's something that I've really come accustomed to. But I will say I do recommend getting a bag. It's just a lot easier to travel around with. So once again, I hope that this helps you learn a little bit more about cameras, about accessories, about what helps myself, but then also, Daniel's the same way with accessories that help us become better and more mature in the sense of more mature in our videography and our photography. It helps us learn more and to grow in that sense when you have to know how to use these things. So like I said, that is this week's episode, which is pretty much done. Yes. And I've really enjoyed being able to do this. I missed having Daniel around, but it's been a blast. I enjoyed it. Next week, which I'll probably be filming literally right after this, is going to be stuff like tripods and more essential stuff. So like lighting. So like my light that I'm using right now, my gimbal, my audio setups, everything like that. And I almost forgot. Actually, you know what? I'll get to that next week. But anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate the support. The support we've gotten on our past episodes already have been really cool, and we really appreciate it. And so I wanted to remind you that we serve an amazing God, and that our God is faithful, and you can trust him. And I hope you'll tune in next week when I go over some of the other essential stuff, and then hopefully we'll have Daniel back here in 2 weeks. He'll be back, and he'll be able to join us for more episodes of Behind the Lens. And so once again, I just want to say we love you all. And as always, we'll talk next time.